Hello and welcome to York Station. I've just arrived on Mount Azuma behind me for another episode of Exploring the East Coast, episode 8 I believe. First I'm heading up to Northallerton, then I'll also be covering Thirsk before coming back here to York and seeing what this wonderful city has to offer. But first it's time to jump on a Trans-Pennine Express 185, which is appearing just behind me. So welcome to Flights and Times. So, Northallerton Station has got two platforms served by Trans-Pennine Express, Grand Central and LNER. Grand Central, there's 5 return services a day. LNER, there's about 12 each way throughout the day, and then Trans-Pennine Express is the main operator, twice hourly, 1 an hour between Manchester Airport and Redcar, and 1 an hour between Newcastle and Liverpool. So yeah, 2 trains an hour between here and York, and then there's plenty of non-stop services like the LNER Azuma that's just about to pass. There is also some avoiding lines that branch off. So yeah, the line off to Yarm towards Middlesbrough, etc. branches off up there, but there's also some avoiding lines that branch off south of the station, avoid the station and join up with the branch up to Yarm. So yeah, that's kind of the transporty bit of Northallerton. Now I've got about an hour and a half here before train south to Thirsk. So yeah, let's see what Northallerton has to offer. So Northallerton's a historic market town. It's got quite a pretty high street, although the B road that runs through the town is quite busy. You've got a beautiful market hall at the top of the high street. I'm going to go a little bit further to see the parish church and the Methodist church. But all in all, Northallerton's quite a nice little market town to stop at if you're in the area and explore. In front of me is All Saints Parish Church, which is at the north end of Northallerton High Street. It's the parish church of Northallerton. The church has been here, well, a church has been here since the 7th century, and this church, essentially parts of it date from everywhere from the 11th through to the 19th century. So it's a bit of a mixture of a church, but it is very pretty. And the churchyard is a nice area of peace and tranquility right next to the high street, where the noise of cars etc. certainly died down. But I'm going to head back through the town centre now. Might explore some of the little arcades of shops that head off the high street before I catch a train back down to Thirsk. As well as being a historic market town, Northallerton is also the county town of North Yorkshire. It's got lots of administrative buildings, etc. Magistrates Court, the North Yorks Police HQ. But the most beautiful of all those administrative buildings is this, County Hall, home of North Yorkshire County Council. It's opposite the station, and obviously it's offices for the most part, but it has got nice gardens outside where you can sit and take a break or wait for a train. So I'm back at Northallerton Station. I've got about a 15-minute wait for the train to take me on to Thirsk, the next stop on this episode of Exploring the East Coast. Northallerton, nice historic market town. It's about a 15-minute walk from the station to the far end of the high street where All Saints Parish Church is, so relatively close. Lots of shops and arcades, both independent and chain shops, so nice to explore. However, there's not really anything to do. No museums or anything that I could find in Northallerton, so more of a shopping place. Might be worth spending a couple of hours here if you're in the area. But otherwise, yeah, not really anything to do, so certainly not worth a day trip to explore the town itself. But yeah, so I'm now off to Thirsk, and we'll see what that town has to offer. So Thirsk station has two platforms served by an hourly TPE service between Manchester Airport and Redcar Central. Also 5 return Grand Central services a day, but no LNER or Lumo or cross-country services called here. They all go through the fast lines at the centre. So from here it's about a half an hour walk to Thirsk town centre, so I better get moving. There's been a settlement in the Thirsk area since the 6th century. Behind me is Thirsk Castle Garth, where a burial site was found from that period, proving that there's been a settlement here long before the Normans of the 11th century. You can just about see where the walls of the old castle walls would have been behind me, and the moat beyond that. But yeah, this is Thirsk Castle Garth. It's been about a 20-minute walk to here from the station. Most of that distance is filled by Thirsk Racecourse. But yeah, I'm now going to continue on into the town centre and see what else it has to offer before I find my way back to the station later. So behind me is the centre of Thirsk. The town centre was mostly constructed in the mid to late 1900s, although the cobbled area, Market Square, has been here for centuries. There are a few newer, less attractive buildings, but yeah, quite a historic centre. Market Square clock, etc. Thirsk also has a few other things to do. Unlike Northallerton, which is just a market town, this actually has attractions. There is the World of James Herriot and Thirsk Museum, both up that way out of the town centre, which you can visit. I've not got time with the walk to and from the station, but yeah, you can visit them and just explore the town. Obviously you can come here for the races as well. So I'm going to find something to eat and then head back to Thirsk station. So I'm back at Thirsk station. Rain stopped to play a little bit, so I jumped in a taxi back here, as there wasn't really anywhere to shelter in the town centre. Again, Thirsk town centre, very pretty, a few less attractive buildings, but plenty of shops, again both chains and independent. Had some fish and chips for my lunch, very nice chip shop in the centre of the town. But yeah, if you could probably spend a day just about in Thirsk by train, partly because of how long it takes to get to and from the station. Bit of a rant that the buses, the few buses that there are timed just wrong, so the bus to the town centre left the station about 5 minutes before the train arrived, and the bus back would have left an hour wait here at the station for the next train, so jumped in a taxi back, £4.50 that way. So yeah, That's Thirsk. I'm waiting for one of the 5 Grand Central services. Take me one stop back south to York, and I've got a few hours in York before catching a linear train home tonight. So yeah, I'll show you some of the delights of York. I'm now back at the fabulous York station. Of course, loads of transport links here, frequent services to and from London, across the north. Yeah, there's LNER, Transpennine Express, Northern, Grand Central, cross country all serve here, so yeah, you can get to York from pretty much anywhere. Lots to do in the city. I'm going to show you a couple of highlights of the city very quickly, and then I'm going to head across to the Railway Museum for a little bit, as it's completely free to enter, and of course this is a transport blog. So yeah, the Railway Museum shortly, but here first is some highlights of York. So I'm on top of some of the remains of York City walls. They run partial of the way around the city, but essentially, yeah, you can walk along the top and connect different bits of the city. Also behind me you can see York Minster, one of the 2 most important churches in England, along with Canterbury. This is the seat of the Archbishop of York. So yeah, that's York Minster. One of York's most famous buildings. I'm going to walk along the walls a bit more and see what else York has to offer. So behind me are 2 more of York's attractions. With the Ukrainian flag flying on top is the Mansion House, home to the Lord Mayors of York. Built in the early 1700s, and then you've also got Betty's Tea Rooms, a York attraction in itself, well worth the visit. I've not got time now, especially as the queue to get in is quite long, but if you're in York, make sure to visit one of the Betty's dotted around. Unfortunately you can't make a booking, just have to kind of join the queue, but it's definitely worth the wait. I'm going to head back to the station now as it's starting to spit, and head into the Railway Museum. So I'm back in York Station. Completely forgot to film for the most part in the National Railway Museum, but I've got a few clips that I'll show in a minute. It's an excellent place to visit. Completely free, adults and children, lots of interactive stuff for kids, also some of the most historic locomotives in the UK and the world. There's Chinese steam locomotive amongst others, but yeah, if you're in York, National Railway Museum is a got to do, even if it's just an hour like I did to wander around and see what there is to see, but try and give it a good half day, if not longer. There's exhibits, there's interactive bits, lots of information, but yeah. So that's pretty much it for this episode of Exploring the East Coast. Did Northallerton and Thirsk, both nice little market towns, not loads to do, a bit more in Thirsk than Northallerton, and then the wonderful city of York. So I've got to get an LNER train home now, but until next time, thanks for watching.